I will leave with you to have a small welcome speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatma. Miss Fatma Wada. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning, and thank you for joining us this event. Before I start, allow me to send on behalf of the European Council of Political Relations a deep condolences to our people, Palestinian people inside Palestine and in the diaspora, and to the Palestinian and to the supporters of the Palestinian cause for the death of one of our leaders, Khadr Adnan, who passed away this early morning after an 87 days of continuous hunger strike. This was a symbol of the struggle of the Palestinians, the daily basis suffering from the Palestinians who are receiving a continuous aggressive policies from the occupying power. If I may, can I kindly ask you to stand a minute of silence towards the late martyr Khadr Adnan, and to the hundreds of thousands of the Palestinian martyrs who passed away from the aggressive policies from the Israeli policies in the past 75 years. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your presence and for your kind response to our invitation and your participation in our second event and activities related to the European Palestinian Council for Political Relations, EUPAC, which aims as an NGO to find a European instance that supports the Palestinian case and is victorious for the Palestinian right that is subjected to the injustice and persecution by the Israeli occupation through systematic and institutionalized violations. The idea of establishing the EUPAC stemmed from many reasons of the Palestinians and Arab European charters, so their efforts were united and to establish this council, which aimed to unify and joint efforts to defend the Palestinian case by the European laws and charters and all values of the European nation that are raised in the whole continent. The importance of the EUPAC stems from the fact that these relations are always capable of development by the many factors that may advance them at one time or decline at another, and what links in it in general in terms of political, cultural, and humanitarian relations with Europe. At the time when EUPAC seeks to communicate its idea and goals to decision-making circles in the European Union concerning the Palestinian case and its development, the Council works by all political, legal, diplomatic, and media means to obtain the necessary European support to support its just demands. Knowing that EUPAC seeks to build more bridges of reapproachment with political and diplomatic forums in the European Union to bring points of view closer and to embody the correct understanding of the challenging facing the Palestinian case at various levels, to reach the European and Palestinian political, humanitarian, and social performances, and to preserve communication channels in all its forms. EUPAC, based on one of its most important goals, represented in conveying correct information about the Israeli violation in the Palestinian territories at various levels, aims to put European decision makers in the picture of what is happening in terms of valuation of the Palestinian human rights, in violation of international law and European covenants, by adopting direct communication with European officials concerning Palestine and making them aware of the successive events in it. EUPAC, as it embarks on its second activities and events after its first conference on settlements in October 2022, calls on the European countries collectively and the participants on this conference in particular to support its call to empower the Palestinian people to liberate themselves from the Israeli occupation and to grant them the right to decide their destiny. It's time to get rid of the last occupation on the earth. As the Council starts its second activity, it seeks to achieve its goals and aspirations through a variety of activities such as political and legal conferences, meetings and political delegation, and sending letters and petitions to inform the European Union of the reality of the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. The Israeli crimes associated with the Palestinian Nakba, the catastrophe, are many, but the common dominating among them is the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians and their uprooting from their lands. This resolution was also adopted by the EUPAC, aims to keep the Palestinian case and its narrative at the forefront of the minds of the European decision makers, to urge them to work in the name of justice. To this end, we organized this conference this day for the sake of addressing this very important issue for the Palestinians. The Nakba, the catastrophe, is the word that most describes what befell the Palestinian people in 1948. Therefore, this conference will focus in 4 sessions the concept of Nakba and the Palestinian narrative of what happened in terms of ethnic cleansing carried out by the Zionist gangs, and the many tragedies that follow related to the occupation of the city of Jerusalem and the emergence of the suffering of the Palestinian prisoners in the prisons of the Israeli occupation, and as the continuing suffering of hundreds of thousands of the Palestinian refugees or millions in the diaspora countries. In addition to the occupation continuing its siege of Gaza Strip for the 17 years. The EUPAC has chosen title of the Nakba, the catastrophe, for its second event and activities, and we record our overwhelming happiness in the prisoners of the group of European decision makers, circles, including official, parliamentarians, human rights activists, and civil society. Thank you so much.
Before